Objection.
Thank you, Madam President. You know, I'll be honest, based on the arguments I have been hearing, I'm not sure everyone that is opposing the Biden administration's ESG rule has actually read the policy. Some of the arguments for the resolution overturning this rule simply don't add up. In fact, they are a contradiction. ESG investing is simply the practice of taking into account the environmental, social, and governmental practices of companies that you invest in. So, for instance, just as a hypothetical, if you are against investing in so-called woke causes, you're actually laying out your own ESG criteria. And here's the thing, the Biden administration rule would allow that. They would allow that. Because, and this is an important point I think folks are missing, the Biden rule is fundamentally neutral on how ESG factors are taken into consideration, so long as the investment fund is meeting its fiduciary obligations to its beneficiaries. I'm not sure everyone gets that, because the fact of the matter is, some of the same people who are railing against this rule and against ESG investing have advocated for positions that essentially are ESG investing. When Republicans push for legislation to protect local and state governments that divest from companies based on their policies towards Israel, that is a form of ESG investing. It is also worth noting if you manage a retirement plan for a faith-based organization and you want to make sure you are investing in accordance with your client's faith, that too would be ESG investing. And when we call for divesting from foreign adversaries due to human rights and national security concerns, again, we are actually talking about ESG investing. And if anyone wants to argue that's different, that it's a matter of national security, I'll note there is no question climate change is also a really serious national security issue. But Madam President, that's honestly beside the point here, because let me say it again, the rule we are talking about is neutral on whether a fiduciary is considering these factors from a particular perspective. This rule is not about saying the left or the right taken on a given environmental or social or governance issue is correct. It's about acknowledging these factors are reasonable for asset managers to consider. It's about risk mitigation to safeguard retirement plan savers' nest eggs. It's about letting these asset managers do their jobs without government getting in the way. That shouldn't be controversial. It actually should be common sense. I mean, think about it. When it comes to environmental factors, shouldn't financial advisors have the freedom to consider environmental practices when climate disasters cost trillions of dollars a year? Shouldn't they have the freedom to take into account whether a company is adopting sustainable practices that reduce its costs and consumption, or if it is moving to clean energy that makes it less reliant on foreign oil? And when it comes to social factors, we live in a diverse nation. That's part of what makes our country so vibrant and so strong. Shouldn't financial advisors have the freedom to consider whether companies are doing the most to tap into that strength? Shouldn't they have the freedom to account for whether companies are well situated to serve and speak to the broadest range of people, or to grow by reaching communities who are currently underrepresented in their customer base? And when it comes to how companies are governed, we are facing workforce shortages today. Companies are having huge challenges finding and retaining workers. So shouldn't financial advisors have the freedom to consider how well companies are paying their workers, or how seriously they take safety and issues like workplace harassment, or what sorts of benefits they might provide to retain workers, like childcare, paid leave, or more? These are concrete factors that have huge implications for companies' bottom lines. So why wouldn't we give advisors the freedom to consider them? Why do Republicans want to tie their hands and meddle in the free market by reversing this balanced, neutral rule? Madam President, despite the misunderstandings and misrepresentations, despite how badly some of my colleagues seem to be missing the point, at the end of the day, this is actually pretty simple. Financial security is about planning for the future. And you can't plan for the future if you aren't allowed to consider the environmental or social or governance factors that are shaping it. So I urge my colleagues today to join me in voting against this resolution. Thank you, Madam President. I yield the floor.
President.
The junior senator from Rhode Island.
Thanks, Madam